I'm going to tell you why you feel lost right now. Why you feel lost in your life. Why you feel like you've lost your way. When we look at the feeling of lost, we have to come to terms with the meaning of life and why we are here. And so we see in our world today that there are really two paths that people can experience and what we are experiencing. And these two paths either are guiding us further away from God or guiding us closer to God. So we have one path that many people are living on. And this path is taking us further and further away from God. This is a path where we feel lost. And this is a path where we no longer feel at ease. On this path, we feel like we're suffering. We feel like we are in pain. We feel lost. And this is a path that negative forces really feed on. When you're in suffering, when you're in pain, when you feel lost, you can be easily controlled. And so we have all these ways that the negative forces can feed on you. We have porn, we have social media, we have drugs, we have alcohol. This feeds on those that choose to follow the path away from God, those that feel lost. And so you become more and more lost. You feed into addiction. And really, this is because you're going further and further away from God. What we have to understand is that we have gone through this process. We've gone on a process of this is how you started. So, you were let's get a good, trying to get a good market here. So you were a spirit. You were this spirit here that was an infinite spirit. These markers are not working. Alex, cut this out, this marker. These markers are not working. And then you chose to come to Earth. Earth is a place where you forget. And what you forget is your divine nature. As this infinite soul, this spirit, you were one with God. So you knew that you were one with God. Then you came to Earth where you forgot. And you chose to become this human being. This is a human being that has a body that forgets its divine nature. That's what happens here. And so when you forgot, what happened is that you chose to follow this path away from God. And that's the path that you might currently be on. Now, what we are here to do is to truly remember. How do we remember? Well, we go through our healing. Our healing helps us remember what we truly are, which is a spirit, which is one with God. And so this is the process. We go from being the spirit to coming to Earth to be a human, where we forget. And then we go through the process of remembering our divine nature, remembering we're one with God. And this is the process back to God. And so the meaning of life is not to go away from God. The meaning of life is to become closer and closer to God. To go from the forgetting to the remembering. Through our healing, we get back to the oneness with God. And on this path is when we find ease. We find stillness. We find peace. As we move closer and closer to God. Because God is what we truly are. It is what we come from. It is in all of creation. It is God. And so as you go further and further away from God, the more suffering, pain, and the more loss that you feel. 67% of the population has at least one chronic disease. And the disease is not just a health issue. It's not because of nutrition. It's not because of all the toxins. Sure, those things affect us, but the true reason is because we're getting further and further away from our divine nature. We're forgetting more and more, and we're not going through the process of remembering. We're getting further and further away from that. We're moving further and further away from God. And so as we do the healing to move closer and closer to God, that's when the ease, the stillness, and the peace is found. This is where we find ourselves. This is how we do it. We move closer and closer to God. And so how do we do that? Well, we get into stillness. So we meditate and we connect with our breath. Breath is a big one. Breath, want to know what it translates to? Spirit. And so before you came here, you were spirit. You were one with God. And so your breath is something that helps you remember, and it helps you heal, and it helps you move closer to God. So if you're lost right now, I highly recommend that you start connecting with your breath. And ways that we can connect with our breath is simply just starting to connect with your breath, starting to feel into your breath, starting to recognize where your breath is. You can even do that in this moment. And then you can get into some deeper breath practices. That means doing it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I know from personal experience that the more that I have connected with my breath, the more and more that I have remembered. And this is how we do it. It will allow you to get into more stillness. It will allow you to get into more peace. And it is going to help your nervous system heal. So this is a place of dysregulation. This is a place of nervous system healing and regulation. And so your breath will help you regulate. It will help you get out of this dysregulation. And then as you connect more and more with your breath, you can also get into more meditative states. God lies in the ease and the stillness. And so when we meditate, we connect closer to God and we come closer and closer. And this is how we become found. Because what we're doing is we're finding ourselves. We're remembering what and who we truly are. And as we do this, we become found. So if you're lost, this is the process. Connect with your breath, start to get into more stillness, you'll find more meditative states, and you'll get closer and closer to God. This will help you become found, find yourself, and it will allow you to find peace. It will allow you to connect back with your true nature and why you're actually here. This is the process to go through. So I hope that this helped you today. I hope that this helped you come back a little bit more home to yourself and to recognize who and what you truly are just a little bit more. And if you want a space where I teach you how to come back to yourself, utilizing practices like breath, the first link down in the description will guide you towards Ascension University, which is where I teach this whole process. And I help you come home to yourself with hundreds and hundreds of others. So go and check that out. Thank you for watching today. Please make sure to subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.